Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
I hired him as a keynote speaker, and he did the total opposite, along with some very insensitive remarks, which actually ended up with me having to issue 46 refunds.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. Stop. Is that true? I don't want you to understand. I want you to overstand.
Yes, sir.
That's why they pay me the big bucks. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. That's not gonna happen. Not up in here, not today. And boom goes the dynamite.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Imani Robinson claims the speaker she hired for her student union event made offensive remarks and says she issued refunds to audience members who walked out.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
Ms. Robinson is suing Chaz Kippling in the amount of $3,920.
All parties have been sworn, Your Honor.
There, get up at it, Thomas. Miss Robinson, you are the president of your school's chapter of the Black Student Union.
That is correct.
It was within your discretion to hire a motivational speaker for some event sponsored by the BSU.
Yes.
You chose to retain the services of Mr. Kippling, correct?
That's correct.
And now you're not happy with those services. You paid him money to the tune of $3,920, and you want that money returned to the organization.
Yes, I do.
Prove your case.
Every year, we fundraise money to hold events that empower our students. Last year, we raised $3,000, and that went towards hiring Mr. Kippling to come and deliver a motivational and empowering speech to our students.
And what were you expecting in terms of the motivational message that Mr. Kippling was going to deliver?
We were expecting him to come and give us some expertise in his field, some advice, perhaps some keynotes. I hired him as a keynote speaker, and he did the total opposite, along with some very insensitive remarks, which actually ended up with me having to issue 46 refunds.
You strike me as someone who is on top of things, and obviously your fellow students feel that way, otherwise you wouldn't be president.
Yes.
Why did you choose Mr. Kippling to be the speaker?
Because of his background. I personally could relate to him. He's an immigrant, and he's had a lot of hardships in this country. And you yourself
are an immigrant?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Kippling, was this the first time you had spoke to a group of predominantly black college students?
It is not, Your Honor. I have worked with various colleges across the nation. And
you yourself, what do you identify as, sir?
Filipino.
You're Filipino. And you felt as though your message, despite you not being black, would resonate with these predominantly black college students.
I see where you're going with this, Your Honor. I identify with those that have a hard upbringing, like myself did.
How long have you been doing this, sir?
I've been doing this about 15 years.
Okay. And how long was the speech supposedly given for what duration of time, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. It was contractually for 1 hour, which I have the contract here.
I'd like to see it, please. Yes. And you don't dispute that, Ms. Robinson, that contractually it was for 1 hour motivation, and he was going to be the main event, if you will.
It was supposed to begin at 6, but he was actually late, so...
Okay. Were you late, sir?
Yes, I would like to speak on that, Your Honor.
Yes, please.
When 6 o'clock arrived, I was there and present, and I noticed the attendance was quite light, so I mingled with the crowd, talked to those around.
We've got two different issues going on here when we talk about a person was late or they chose to start when the room filled up a little bit. At 6 p.m., were you present and accounted for, sir?
Yes, I was, Your Honor.
Are you saying that that is not true?
He was there at 6. He did not begin his speech at 6.
Okay. Now, I have been in black student unions in law school, and oftentimes what I learned in college, I went to Morehouse College, which is a black institution, and there's this thing about CP time, or colored people's time. And it's considered socially not this major faux pas if you don't start something at 6 o'clock. Have you had that similar experience?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So it would not be unreasonable if Mr. Kippling were to say, I was prepared to go at 6 because otherwise, what would prevent him, if he's already there, from not proceeding, but for him perhaps saying, well, I'm going to wait a few more minutes until the room fills up. Do you think that that was unreasonable for him to do that?
It was not unreasonable. However, I do think it was unreasonable the way he began it, which resulted in many people leaving the room.
The reason that I asked that is because you made it sound like, well, he was late, which reflects poorly on his contractual obligations, as opposed to he was sort of reading the room.
So he actually opened his speech by saying, I feel right at home here. I can barely read, and my SAT score was trash. So trust me, I can relate to you guys. So not only did he begin late, but that was the first statement he did, which resulted in a little bit less than half the people exiting.
He showed up at 6 prepared to go, and then that was the first thing that came out of his mouth.
Yes.
And so you were like, oh, we are off to the wrong foot already. Is that what your reaction was?
Yes.
Coming up on America's Court.
One by one, they started getting up and leaving. Some of them approached me and told me.
While he was still speaking?
Yes, yes.
They came up to you and said, this ain't it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross, Emmy nominated for Outstanding Legal Courtroom Program. America's Court is back with the case of Imani Robinson, who is suing Chaz Kippling for breach of contract.
Let's talk about that statement. Did you make it, in fact, sir, something to the effect of you can't read and my SAT score was trash and ergo I can relate to this audience? Did you say that?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to add some context to that.
Please.
I mean, the context of it, and I think what many missed who left the room or didn't listen to the whole thing was overall my style of keynotes are direct, honest, self-deprecating at times. And this style of humor and kind of a realism, a jolt of just honesty, reflects my own background. So I only speak for myself and my own upbringing, where I grew up very poor.
Was this the first time you had started a speech off that way?
No, Your Honor. I've actually started off this way before, and I have an audio exhibit, if I may submit it. I think I previously submitted exhibit number 2.
It's all submitted and it's ready to go on your computer.
Okay, and what will we be listening to, sir?
This is from a couple years back, and this is another way I started the speech and the positive reception that it had.
Saying the same thing you said in front of this
Same
group.
thing. And
But
it's
not
What
at
was
a
the,
BSU.
hold on, I got this. What was the makeup of the audience in the speech that we're about to listen to?
This was also a university, LGBTQ organization.
Okay, so their focus was more on their sexual orientation, if you will.
It
in
was,
terms of
but
the organization itself.
the organization, yes. The comment more relates to my upbringing, and I always have audience kind of mingling before I start my speech.
All right, well,
as we
I'll tell you
talked
what,
about, and-
without further ado, let's listen to it. Let's see
Okay.
what we got here.
It's great to be here. Love seeing all you guys, except for you, my name is Sure. I feel right at home here. I can barely read. SAT score is trash, so trust me, I relate to you guys. I want to get into the main topic of my story, which is overcoming by becoming. Overcoming my...
Okay. Listening to your delivery, it hits differently, and I understand, if the audience is mostly black college students. Because there's two different groups with two different journeys as to how they got to where they are. As groups, not as individuals. And yet, I must say that I think it could be a very effective way of sort of breaking the ice and having people react to something that on its face would seem to be obscene and offensive. But if anything, there's also an opportunity to go, well, now that I have your attention, let me pull you into the actual message that I'm trying to convey. I take it that was your thought process.
Yes, Your Honor. The overall message that I was hired for is one of my speeches, which is the overcoming by becoming. So overcoming your past to become a better version of yourself.
As they listened to that, they had an immediate strong reaction.
Yes, they did.
Okay, tell me about it.
So there was approximately 300 people there. From those 300, about 100 walked out. From those 100 that walked out, Actually, 46.
From what time did Mr. Kippling started talking, and how long of a time period elapsed before they started walking out? Because I would imagine everyone just didn't walk up and leave.
Yeah, no, well, he opened up his speech with that. So there was a bit of murmuring and stuff. So little, one by one, they started getting up and leaving. Some of them approached me and told me, expressed their feelings and their concerns about
While he was still speaking?
Yes. And I was...
But they came up to you and said, this ain't it, sort of thing.
Yeah, straight up, and then they just left. And then I've had 46 people reached out to me asking for a refund. I've had people post on Instagram, on Facebook, talking about my credibility as a president for having a speaker like this come to our school. I'm supposed to...
Well, I thought that you had raised money to have this event. People still had to pay tickets for this event?
Yes, because we had to pay him somehow.
I thought that was the whole purpose of the fundraising.
He initially came in at $5,000, and I managed to get it down to $3,000 because I still had to recoup everything. Now, there is still an entrance fee because we have to pay for the room. We have to pay for the supplies. We have to pay for the water. We have to pay for the chairs that we borrow. So there's a lot more that goes into count than just paying him.
Okay. And you're feeling as though he was not motivational, but you're only telling me you're concluding this based on what he initially said. What else did he say that you felt did not reach that level of being motivational?
Well, it wasn't just what he said. It was the fact that he opened up with that, and a lot of those individuals that left will never be able to hear the message of his story.
Right.
A lot of them...
So those who heard the whole... So if 300 people were there and a third of the people left, that means 2/3 stayed. And after the speech was over, what was the reaction from the audience?
Could I jump on that,
Yes.
Your Honor? After the speech was over, I had a positive reaction. I even had
Define for me what that means.
that is about 25 of them approached me and signed up for my program. So out of the people that talked to me after, 25 of them loved the material and signed up for my program.
Were you given applause?
Yes, Your Honor.
Was he given applause?
Not that I can remember, no.
You don't remember anyone who stayed applauding after his speech was over?
After his speech, yes, but after the delivery
Okay.
of the first line, no.
Coming up on America's Court.
And then you were like, and I felt, and 46 others felt, that what he was saying was inappropriate and walked out.
So should we just ignore the 40 people that left?
You don't
or-
get to ask the questions up in here.
This is America's Court with Judge Ross, Emmy nominated for Outstanding Legal Courtroom Program. America's Court is back with the case of Imani Robinson, who is suing Chaz Kippling for breach of contract.
By the end of the speech, 2/3 of the audience is still there, and of those who heard everything he had to say, there was applause given.
Yes.
All right. So typically when people are applauding, what does that infer?
That something has come to an end?
Something's come to an end, they enjoy what they hear. You're saying because 46 people didn't like what they heard, he should not be compensated.
I'm saying he should be more mindful of what he brings up and says.
That may be in terms of a critique, but you're talking about you feel as though you didn't get the benefit of your bargain.
He fulfilled his duty of giving a speech, but I don't think he fulfilled his duty of empowering the students.
How can you guarantee what 200 other people thought?
Because I put myself in their shoes. If I heard that, I would not feel empowered.
But you're the president. This isn't a dictatorship.
There's other ways to relate to people aside from saying you can't read and that your SAT score is trash.
I understand that. Here's where you are starting to become challenged by this process. You have the burden of showing that he was in breach, that he did not fulfill a material aspect of the contractual relationship and the agreement that you entered into with him. In order to do that, you've got to give me specifics. All you said is, one, he was late, which we know he was not late. He waited until the crowd got a little bigger to get started. So that's not an element that we can even consider. And then you were like, and I felt, and 46 others felt, that what he was saying was inappropriate and walked out, or felt, you know what, I'm not happy with this.
So should we just ignore the 40 people that left?
You don't
or-
get to ask the questions up in here.
Coming up on America's Court.
Because in my opinion, I don't think that, our hard-earned money should be going to somebody who does talks on the daily.
This is America's Court with Judge Ross, Emmy nominated for Outstanding Legal Courtroom Program. America's Court is back with the case of Imani Robinson, who is suing Chaz Kippling for breach of contract.
And if you tell me that because 46 people asked for refunds and you didn't like the message and you didn't like the delivery, does that mean that he did not succeed in being a keynote motivational speaker? Now, I'm not saying you can't overcome that. I'm just saying that's what I'm trying to understand. How are you going to sort of connect the dots here as to what it is that happened that results in your BSU organization being able to get this money back?
Well, that's why we came to you, so you could help us decide who's right. Because in my opinion, I don't think that, our hard-earned money should be going to somebody who does talks on the daily.
Here's the problem,
and doesn't
Ms. Robinson,
value it.
and I'm having this conversation with you, being very impressed with how you're presenting yourself. You represent the organization well. So we start there. I like you. What I'm saying is, but it's not about your opinion. It's about legally, what can you point to in the law that says this is why he is in breach? You signed a contract. He said, I will show up at this date, at this time to speak for 60 minutes. Did you end up speaking until at least 7:10, 7:15?
Your Honor, I actually went till 7:30, a little extra time.
Is that true?
Yes.
So again, we've got these elements that I'm considering and these facts. And I'm listening to the facts going, he showed up, he performed, he stayed.
But he didn't motivate anybody. He spoke for the 60 minutes.
He motivated 25 people who wanted to hear him
leave.
speak and say, I want more.
Okay.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. This is America's Court with Judge Ross, Emmy nominated for Outstanding Legal Courtroom Program.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel has to come down in favor of the defendant. I'm not saying you're not entitled to feel the way you're feeling. I'm just saying that when you come to a court, you've got to give me something more than your emotions and your feelings and your perspective. It's got to be, well, this is what he didn't do. You can't meet the burden to the extent that I need it based on the preponderance of the evidence. Preponderance means about 51%, 49. You're just under that. And if you're under that, by law, I have to side with the defendant.
Okay.
Your matter's dismissed. That is the order. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's case has been dismissed.
Spent my time and money flying out. I'd like to work with your organization.
Anything?
No?
All right, let's step outside, sign some paperwork then.
This has been a production of Allen Media Group.